Okay, today I'm going to be reacting to Joshua Fluke's video called I Was Wrong About Quiet Quitting. So, Joshua Fluke, if you don't know who he is, he's a big YouTuber, fantastic YouTuber, does videos on jobs and employment and HR and how to get ahead in the workplace. If you don't know who he is, go ahead and subscribe and watch his videos. He makes very good content. So I'm going to be critiquing and reacting to that particular video on quiet quitting, and let's get straight to it.
Delay gratification, just like I had to when I started this company.
I feel like that's what I'm reading right now. You have a point, I suppose, but there's no guarantee in knowing that you'll get a reward. This just sounds like the ultimate slippery slope to be strung along at any job.
One day, an employer, it might not be me, but some other employer will reward you for doing what you did here.
Like, okay, I mean, I get what you're saying, sure. Give it a shot for a little bit at your job, or maybe a little longer if that's what you want. And if you really think that you're going to get that promotion or raise or whatever you're working for, but you could see this reasoning, oh, just keep doing it. You'll be rewarded one day. Maybe the goal here is to try and figure out how likely it is at each job. Sir Hamster a lot, the username. You don't have to work the hardest to be noticed. You just have to be the most noticed. This is a fallacy. Man, I wish it was a fallacy. I wish it was, if I hadn't seen it myself many.
So I also want to chime in here. In terms of working the hardest, I'll agree. You don't need to work the hardest in order to succeed in a company. A lot of the time, it's the people who not necessarily work the least, but the ones that aren't necessarily as dedicated to their career, or they're more dedicated to climbing the corporate ladder than they are about doing their I sort of agree here. A lot of the time it's not about what you do day in, day out. A lot of the time it's about how well you network and working more efficiently, smarter, but also getting recognition through networking with managers and other colleagues and getting them to sing your praise. A lot of the time, if you could get them on side, it's going to be a lot easier for you going forwards. The only issue is that a lot of the times when companies recruit, let's say it's internal, maybe you might have a little bit of a chance there, you've got a little bit of a pool, but it doesn't guarantee you for external roles where they advertise externally. They're more than likely going to hire somebody from external that's going to take the role that you want. So
times, or my friends seeing it firsthand, or my friends being the people not working the hardest, still being promoted, and you know, I wish it was a fallacy to be the most noticed. This Sir Hamster a lot, the username. You don't have to work the hardest to be noticed. You just have to be the most noticed. This is a fallacy. Man, I wish it was a fallacy. I wish it was, if I hadn't seen it myself many times, or my friends seeing it firsthand, or my friends being the people not working the hardest, still being promoted, and you know, I wish it was a fallacy. In order to become the most noticed, you have to work the hardest. There's so much wrong with this. There's tons of people sitting in back rooms doing all the work, and then the sales guy or something gets the credit. People always think they are separate things. They ain't. Employers aren't stupid, and they know better than you.
right now, Sir Hamsalot, you've got the wrong idea. The people that work the hardest aren't necessarily the ones that get noticed. Realistically, look at any company structure, corporate company structure. A lot of the CEOs do not work the hardest. Don't get me wrong, they work probably long hours. They probably have more stress because they probably can't just leave their job at home. They have to take the job with them. But in terms of the output of what they do, they definitely do not work the hardest. You can't tell me that, say, I don't know, let's just say in America, like a Walmart's, which, you can't say that the director of Walmart's or CEO of Walmart's or a multinational organization works harder than somebody on the shop floor. So that philosophy, that way of thinking is absolutely wrong. in many situations, it tends to be the person who is able to network, get along with people, look for opportunities, take advantage of those opportunities, take advantage of their network. Those are the people that tend to progress faster than the ones that want to just work hard. I know we've said it 1,000 times, but a lot of the times, the things that you do at work will not get recognition.
You who is best for the job they're assigning. I'd like to pause and let the audience just react to that for a second. Do you think your boss knows your job better than you all the time? They know who's the best fit for every single position better than you do? Sure, maybe sometimes. People demonize employers all the time for no reason other than feels. But I did X thing and X person got promoted before me. Let's be real here. You have no clue what anyone else does at your job outside of yourself.
The average person checks their phone 110 times a day. We're struggling to focus.
Now, I don't think that's true either. You might know their job descriptions that were in their contracts, but you have no effing clue what they're actually doing at the company. I think sometimes, but if they're getting their work done and you're leaning on them, then you know that they're doing their work. Employers know what each individual provides. Okay, all right. There are a lot of companies with thousands and thousands of people working there, and some people, they just go missing. You know what I mean? They work there, but they're not there. I think there was an article the other day that said, if you have remote employees, management might forget about you. That's literally their job to know and what drives their decisions on who to promote and give bonuses to. Are you going to find a few employers that employ relatives and people that turn out bad at the new position? Of course, but they are the exception and not the rule. Who made the rule? You're making up rules right now. What are you talking about? This happens all the time. Nepotism is a real thing.
Okay, so that's something I just want to sort of dissuade people from believing. Employers do not know what you do all day. They do not know your exact job and what you do in that job. They might know an overview of what you do. For example, you might be a project manager, and maybe your boss might know that you plan and that you monitor projects and you schedule things, and they might know how big your team is or that you've got a team. They might know the high level stuff, but the nitty gritty, the day-to-day stuff, the emails you send, the chase emails that you do, the spreadsheets that you've got, the reasons why you've got those spreadsheets, conversations that are ongoing, your boss is not going to know that. They just know the high level, and they don't care to know every single thing that you do. They've got their own job to do. They've got their own targets to meet. Everyone's got their own responsibilities. So to say that your employer knows exactly what you do all the time, that's not true. They just know the core things that you do, and no more and no less. And when they think about giving promotions and raises, they do not take that into consideration. They don't say, well, I know exactly all the things that he does, and I'm going to base my raise based on that. That's just not how it happens. And for the most part, if you're in a corporate company, usually your immediate boss has no power to give raises or to give people pay rises or any of that. Normally, it's very unlikely. If your boss had the power to give pay rises, he'll give himself a pay rise first, believe me. So I don't know where this guy's going with this.
Hard work doesn't guarantee promotions or bonuses, and definitely try for it if that's what you want or you think it's likely, or you want to challenge or whatever. I mean, don't let me gatekeep, but there's no guarantee that will happen. It's your job to figure out the likelihood. People nowadays are so effing lazy with this quiet quitting BS. Just do your job and help out extra once in a while to be nice. And you want to know the irony of this whole quiet quitting movement? The guy who came up with this idea and made the entire thing saw how silly, egotistical, and lazy it was and stopped doing it. Okay, but the guy who came up with the idea is not the guy who created the movement. People have been doing their job descriptions and not going above and beyond for a while now. Since probably the beginning of jobs, people have just been doing their job and saying, nah, that's above my pay grade. Nah, I don't get paid to do that. People have been doing that forever. Sure, sometimes it's annoying when you have the lazy workers doing that, but you can't confuse the lazy workers with people who are setting boundaries, okay? Wesley Franken said...
That's an important thing that Joshua just said. The quiet quitting movement is a new movement, but the actual act of quiet quitting has been in existence since jobs began. Um, it's quite normal for people to just do what's expected of them and that only, and not go any further than that. So, yes, there's a movement for quiet quitting, but it's not anything new. Um, Also, he makes a good point about boundaries. There's nothing wrong with having boundaries. When I say boundaries, you say, do you know what? I won't turn my computer on before 9 o'clock. I turn my computer off at 5 or 5:30. Uh, Anything that isn't done, I'll do tomorrow. And knowing that there's that boundary. Yes, from time to time, you might turn your computer off at 6:30 to, just so that you've got a quieter day tomorrow, or from time to time, maybe you might decide to just work a little bit longer. But this should be the exception. Your overall boundary should be your 9 to 5. That's what you're being paid for, and if the company wants more than that, then they need to pay more than that.
It says, I'm the only hardware engineer, software engineer, and system engineer. I make a lot of hours because I want to, and because my ass isn't the only that.
I've been a JavaScript developer for a while now, and I feel ready to become a senior. But they told me I need more years of experience.
That's on the line. Man, you're being taken advantage of, and you need to go talk to management. Let's just stop it and say that. If you're doing 3 jobs, then you're not getting the resources that you need, most likely. And if you're working a lot of hours because you want to, that's on you. You're saying, thank you for taking advantage of me. I want this, basically. And then the last comment.
So just to go back to that particular comment, I have to agree with Joshua there. Um, Truly, if you are a hardware engineer, software engineer, and system engineer, and to be fair, to do hardware, if you are the only hardware, software, systems engineer, why are you doing 3 jobs at the same time? Surely this is a concern for your own health and safety to manage 3 jobs. It's not the best thing to do. It just shows that the company is under-resourced, understaffed, and taking advantage of you. This shouldn't be a thing that you should be proud of. Yeah, from time to time, you might pick up a bit of work for a colleague, but if you're actually doing their role and not just doing their role, doing 2 roles in addition to your own role, then that tells me you're being taken advantage of, and you need to have a talk with HR because they're not looking after your welfare. So they expect you to do 3 jobs, but your salary hasn't increased. Have you had the conversations about your salary at all?
Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed my critique on Joshua Fluke's quiet quitting. If you agree with me or if you don't agree with me, let me know. Hit the like button, subscribe. Until next time.